Okay, good morning everyone. Can you hear me clearly? Is my screen visible?
Build the whole semester within a few days. Watch how Blackboard opens each week when it should. Afterwards, just relax. Build the whole semester.
Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome back to the second day of this training. My name is Christopher Ebosi from Pole Global Marketing. I would like to apologize on behalf of everyone here on my side. We're actually very, very sorry for the network challenges we're having this morning. We're actually hoping that the training will go as smoothly as yesterday's own, but for some weird reason and the parents' rain, the network has been very, very bad. But hopefully we've gotten that sorted out and we can move on from here. Okay, so I would like to ask if everyone can see my screen, if you can see me, if you can hear me, if my screen is visible enough, please send a message, drop a reaction or an emoji so that I know that we're all together. Okay, so today's training is going to be a continuation of yesterday's own. We already covered the basics of the system. We covered the different pages, the different features of the system, and then today we'll actually go into details of those features of the system that are actually applicable to lecturers, right? The part of the system that lecturers will actually benefit the most from. Okay, so I'm hoping everyone here has been able to sort out their login credentials and even were able to go through yesterday's video again and let's say practice what was taught yesterday. But if you haven't, that's not a problem. You can always go back to our channel, watch the first video. That's day one, today is day two, so you can always watch that one, then watch this one, and then practice. So make sure you reach out to your ICT department to get your login credentials, and then you should be good to go. Okay, so let's get into it. Now we have the courses page as yesterday. So now we've already created courses, right? It's now time to upload content into those courses so that our students rather can have access to those content, and then they would also be able to learn using Blackboard, take tests using Blackboard, exams and every other form of assessment using Blackboard. Now there was a question that came up yesterday where someone was asking what are the forms of assessments that can be used on Blackboard. We're going to cover that today. We're going to cover all the different content that can be uploaded and the different course settings and controls that you have as a lecturer in a course that you are taking. Okay, so we're going to use today's course is going to be Introduction to Digital Electronics. Okay, so we're going to use this one. So as you can see here, there are two lecturers or instructors in this course, okay, and then there is no content apart from this material that was uploaded. And you see here, lecturer has made this material visible to students. All right, so now let's say this was uploaded by the first lecturer, which is Mr. Ibrahim Aliyu. Thank you very much, sir. Now let's say we're doing another lecturer is uploading his own course content. Okay, another lecturer is uploading his own course content. So, like I was saying, now this lecturer has uploaded content. So the new lecturer wants to upload his own content into the course. Now, how do you do that? When you have this particular page here, Okay, apologies for that. Now let's get on with it. So, like I mentioned earlier, you have this page here. If you've uploaded any content at all, you would see the content here, similar to the other course that we showed yesterday. So now let's say one lecturer has uploaded a content, or you as the only lecturer in that course has uploaded one content. You want to upload more. Now the next thing to look out for is this plus button right here. Okay, next thing to look out for is this plus button right here. So you can either see this small plus button right here or this line. So any of them that you click would actually bring up a menu that allows you to create, upload, download content, and a lot of several options for content upload here on this course in Blackboard. So we're going to look at one of the major features that I mentioned yesterday that we're going to cover today is the video studio feature. I'm sure you must have seen that in one of the short videos that was playing yesterday and also today. So the video studio feature is basically, it's a video recording feature, right, that allows you to have access to your cameras, your mic, screen recording inside Blackboard, right? So instead of battling with recording a video outside, then you're now struggling with how to upload it. The video is too large, network is bad, and a lot of other problems. You can easily just come into Blackboard and then use the video studio option to actually just upload your video directly into Blackboard. Now this is going to take out all the different problems that you're having in terms of how the video is going to be uploaded. Let's say you finish creating your video, you now start looking for how to let's say compress it a bit, make it smaller, adjust the lighting and all of that. As long as you have a good webcam or laptop camera, you can just do your video directly inside Blackboard, right? So we're going to also cover that today, and that feature is called, on the upload options, it's called record audio slash video, right? So but let's start from the first content upload option, which is create. Now create basically allows you to create multiple items, right? You're not just creating text, you can create a document similar to the one we saw yesterday that had text, pictures, and also a video, right? You can create a document directly inside Blackboard. You just copy and paste your content into it. You can create a learning module. You can create a folder that would now have, subsequent, let's say, subfolders or subtopics or a lot of documents or content uploaded into that particular folder. You can also create a link, right? So like I mentioned earlier, or rather yesterday, if you have a website or a video you want your students to check out, you can easily just collect that link and paste it directly into your course. So you don't need to start telling your students to go and look for, good morning everyone, go and look for this particular website on this particular video. You can just give them the link and paste it inside Blackboard, right? When every time they come there, they can always see that link, click on it, and then access the content that you want them to have access to. So I also talked about, sharing the link in a group chat, and then you're now having things like a lot of messages covering that link, and you would not be able to see that particular message that's carrying that link anymore. So you can mitigate all those problems by just uploading the link directly into Blackboard. Now you have a lot of other features here. Teaching tools with LTI connection. This is for the administrative body, like the institution itself. When they have enterprise licenses for third-party applications, they can be integrated into Blackboard, and then you can now have access to them directly in your course as a lecturer, right? So you have SCORM package, you have tests. This is the major one I said we're going to cover today. How to create a test, an assignment, a form. You also have more features down here. Participation and engagement. You have discussion. We talked about creating a discussion yesterday, right? So we have discussion, we have journal, and we also have a very, very important feature here, which is the AI conversation. Now, yesterday I talked about the auto-generated AI that is in Blackboard that allows you to generate content by yourself. It takes away the whole going to Google, copying something and coming to paste it, or going to ChatGPT. You have to now start training the model, copying it, editing it in one editor, come here to paste it. Here inside Blackboard, you have your own AI that is already embedded into every school, every course for every user, right? You can just come here, have access to that AI that will help you auto-generate content and also help you auto-grade your assessments. It's also help you have proper conversations. It can help you reply messages to students, auto-grade your content, auto-generate, can help you generate content, materials and content, even images too, that you can have embedded into this educational system, the whole documents or course content for your students. Now, the AI conversation is on a whole different level. Imagine having your own chatbot directly inside Blackboard. And now this is not just in Blackboard as a general, it's like I mentioned yesterday, course specific features, right? So as you can see, this course here is called Introduction to Digital Electronics, right? So anything we're doing here, any AI feature we're using, any AI feature we're using would be tailored towards digital electronics. All right. So if you ask AI now to generate you an essay or a test, or we're going to practice it, you'll see all of that this morning. But you'll notice that it is going to only generate you content based on the topic of that course, which is digital electronics, right? So if you're generating content, you're taking more than one course, make sure you're working with you're working with the right course, correct? Because the features that you are going to use are going to be tailored to that particular course. You want to make sure that you're in the right course, you have the right content material before you upload it. You don't want a situation where you're uploading mathematics handouts inside an English or chemistry course. It's not going to make sense, right? So you want to make sure you're in the right course and you have the right materials and tools to work with. So we can start with this one here that says document, so everybody can see what that looks like. So as you can see when you open the document, now one very important thing to note, you have the title, you can always label your documents, correct? So let's call this Blackboard lecturer orientation, okay? Now, if anybody remembers this feature from yesterday, what should we change this to? What happens when it's left as hidden from students? I want to see comments, I want to see chat, I want to see emojis and reactions. What happens when you leave a document or any content at all hidden from students? If anyone here was available in yesterday's session, please I want to know what you think is the right um, change to make here. So while I'm waiting for that to come in, let's move on. So here you can see all the different type of content that you can add to this document, right? You have content, you have knowledge check, file upload. Let's say you have a document you've already created on your system and you just want to upload, you don't want to create from scratch. You can use that. You have cloud upload. This allows you to upload directly from Google Drive, OneDrive, sorry. Yeah, Google Drive, OneDrive allows you to upload from any cloud storage that you are using, right? As long as it has been synchronized by your institution with Blackboard, right? There has to be an integration between your school systems and Blackboard. Then you have all these features inside. Now you can also have a content collection. You have image, like I mentioned. You are allowed to upload different types of content. You have audio and video, which is still, this is what the video studio feature looks like. Okay, so you can just click on camera and to start a recording, like the way you're seeing my face now, you're seeing my hands waving. You can click on this and this will start a video recording for you that will be embedded into your course. Okay, so as you can see here, it says permissions because I'm actually using my camera for this training, so that is why it's not working. But let's see if I turn this off. Okay, so let's try that again. Let's see if it will work. But I actually want us to see what it looks like. Okay, so you can see me, you can see my background, you can see what I'm wearing. So this is what it looks like. This is what Video Studio looks like. But we'll still come into this proper. But I'm just trying to show you what it looks like based on this content upload. You have access to your camera, you can turn it off at any time. You have access to your microphone, you can turn it off and on. You can also decide to share your screen, right? You can share your screen that would allow you to record what you're doing and then show your students. It's not just about talking. They would also be able to, see exactly what you're doing and then be able to practice it. Now, once you have set all this, the mic, the camera, the next you want to do is click on start recording, and then that would record. And once you're done, it will give you access to where you would be able to edit the video, put captions, and do some other minor changes which would go into proper. Okay, so let me turn my camera back on. Yeah, welcome back. So you have that, you have the divider, if you want to separate the content you're uploading, right? And then you have convert a file. If you have a file that you'd like to convert to a different format, you can do that here too. Okay, so now once you're done with this, now before I leave here, I talked about having AI embedded in Blackboard, and I know some people might be wondering, where is the AI? How do I access it? I'm not seeing anything labeled AI. So I'm going to show you how to know or how to look out for AI on Blackboard, right? So anytime you're moving around and you see this button right here, see this icon that looks like a star. Let me try and zoom in very well so you can have a better view, right? This icon right here, anywhere you see this particular icon, you just know that you're looking at the auto generate function or the Blackboard AI that is going to help you adjust or develop your content. All right. So anywhere you see that button, you see that icon, you know what to look out for. You know that that is the auto generate function on Blackboard. Now this is for a document. Now once you're done editing it, you don't have an accessibility score that helps you to keep track, because we're also trying to make sure that everybody is able to learn, right? You don't want a situation where people that are maybe have a kind of, I would say, disability would not have access to learning. So Blackboard supports every form of learning for everyone. As long as you have the right resources and equipment, you'll be able to use Blackboard for any type of training or any type of learning at all. All right, and this helps you to also keep track to make sure that what you're uploading is actually, let's say, legible, it's audible. It helps to make sure people can understand what they're looking at, right? You don't want to upload a document that nobody can read, nobody can understand, right? It checks for document clarity, it checks for um, audibility in your videos and audios. Basically, making sure that the content you're uploading is top notch and your students will actually learn from it. So the higher the score, the better for you, and that's about the document upload. So you can always edit the title of the document. Once you're done, you can save it, but we're not going to save this one because we're not making any changes to it. And then you have this button here. This is the print icon. Any documents you upload, you can allow your students to print it so that they can have like a physical copy. Okay, seems like the network is trying to scare us a bit today, but we're good. So I mentioned yesterday that whenever you're uploading any content, once you're done, you want to make sure you change it from hidden from students to visible to students, right? Because if you do not make this change, any content you upload, your students would not be able to see it. It will just be there for you and your fellow lecturers, but no students will have access to it. But when you make it visible to students like this one, then every student will have access to the material and then they will be able to see it. Now, I talked about the accessibility score earlier. As you can see, this document that was uploaded has a medium accessibility score, meaning that the system has flagged some little discrepancies in the document itself that it feels the lecturer should adjust, right? So but a medium score is actually still good. If it gets very low, that you now need to be worried or you need to take down the document and re-upload. All right. So, but the higher the score, the better. Okay. So now we've uploaded this content. What's the next thing to do? You want to select hidden from students, and then you change it to visible to students. This will make sure students have access to this material. But now we're going to leave this as hidden from students because we have not uploaded anything inside it yet. Okay, so now let's try creating something else. We've created a document. Let's try creating something else. Now we have under the create option, we have a lot of other things we could create, but I want us to do a test. All right, I want us to do a test this time around. Like I promised everyone that we'll do a test today on yesterday's training. So I want us to do a test this time around. Okay, let's do a test. So now when you create a test, a new test, just like the document we created, you would have access to edit the name of the test. Like you can label it whatever you want. So we can say this is going to be, let's just call this a demo test, right? This is going to be a demo test. And today's date is 09/07/26. So you also want to label your test properly so that your students will know what they are looking at, they know what test to write. You don't want people worrying about a test that has already passed that they missed. You want them looking forward to the next ones, right? Okay, so now after you've done that, then the next thing you want to do is to create content inside this text. Because you know, as we're all aware, to answer someone's question from yesterday, I think it was Mr. James or so, someone was asking what are the different forms of assessments that can be created in Blackboard, which is a very solid question, right? A very, very solid question. Because it's not just for me to say, okay, come to Blackboard and do your test. But then I'm not giving you options. I'm not allowing you to work the way you want, right? So we're going to look at that now. Now when you click on this plus button, you can see there are a lot of options here. A whole lot of options. And I talked about some of them yesterday. If anybody can remember what I just mentioned, see that icon again, the auto-generate question. This is basically the AI in Blackboard that is helping you to make your content generation and content upload easier, right? So let's say you have a new course and you want to just do an introductory test. So instead of always worrying about how many textbooks you need to read, how many hours you have to spend researching and browsing the internet before you can come up with questions, you can easily use the auto-generate question to generate some questions for you based on that course, right? If you remember, I said this earlier, anything we're doing here, any AI feature we're using in this course would be fixed on this particular course title, which is digital electronics, right? So you have question pool, you can do a calculated formula question, calculated numeric question, essay, fill in the blanks, hotspot question, matching questions, MCQs, multi-choice questions, true or false questions, jumbled sentence questions. You can even decide to reuse questions, right? You can upload questions from file. Let's say you have a PDF document that's already prepared with your questions, right? You can upload the questions from that file. You have a question bank that you have prepared. You can upload your questions from it. You have add text. You can decide to type out your questions manually, right? So you have add local file, adding a file from your system, right? You have add file from cloud storage, which I mentioned earlier, and add page break. So this is like a page divider for people that use Microsoft Word very well. Page break is basically a page divider inside your test. So to divide your test into like different sections. All right. Well, let's get on with it. So let's use the AI feature I keep talking about. Let's even know what that feature can actually do for us. Okay. So in this AI feature here, once you click on the button, you'll be given access to this page. All right. So as you can see here, now remember this is all for educational purposes, right? So the idea is to make education easier. The idea is to make education better and less strenuous on both the students and especially the lecturers. Okay. So you can be able to run your tests and assessments from home. You can even decide after today's training, tomorrow is Friday. It's a very good day set to run a test. You meet your ICT department today to give you access tomorrow you start running your test, and then by Monday you started taking lectures already on Blackboard. And that would also elevate your school, to elevate your status in the department, in the faculty, and in the school in general. And then it also elevates your institution status globally, on a national basis globally, and then also on a to give you recognition by all the regulatory bodies, and especially Test Fund or any other regulatory body that the colleges or polytechnics are under, right? So let's get on with it. The AI generative function. Now, that I mentioned earlier, so we're going to just create a topic or give it a description, right? Which is basically giving it a prompt. So for people that use AI very well, you know you need to learn prompt engineering to understand what you're telling that agent or model to do, right? So we have digital electronics. So let's even do that. Let that be our prompt. Okay. So the prompt is going to create questions for us on this topic, which is introduction to digital electronics. Okay. Now you have question type. Question type allows you to prompt this agent that, okay, how do you want these questions to be? Do you want it to inspire you? Do you want it to be an essay question? Do you want it to be essay questions? Because it's going to be multiple questions. Do you want it to be fill in the blanks, jumbled sentence, matching questions, multi-choice, or true or false questions? So let's select multi-choice, right? Then you have the complexity. How difficult do you want these questions to be? All right. You want them to be very difficult, or you want them to be very easy. Now, mind you, the complexity will determine how easy it will be for your students to answer it. So if you want your questions to be more difficult, to make sure your students are reading properly, they are reading outside lectures, they're reading outside materials they've been given, exposing themselves to new technology and knowledge, you understand that they would be able to answer more complex questions. You can always increase that with this slider here. You just click on this big purple ball and drag it around. Now, number of questions is currently set to 4, and then you can always go as high as 20 per generation. Now, I know people might be wondering after seeing this, so are you trying to say that after generating 20 questions, that is the end? No. If you generate the first 20 questions, you can add that to your test and then regenerate another 20 questions. You can do as much as you want. Like I mentioned earlier, you are the lecturer, you are the owner of this course. You're the one teaching it, you understand it, you're passing the knowledge down to students. So you want to make sure you're taking the course at your own pace. You want to do it the way you want, but making sure that people are learning properly from it, right? Now, I would also like to state something. You can decide to peg this course to a particular content peg this test to a particular content in the course. If there's a content that's already there, so you want to say, okay, after reading module 1, you have to do this test. You can now tag this test to module 1. Okay, if you have an announcement, so you can see here, this was the document we uploaded. This was the first document that the other lecturer uploaded. So I can decide that I want to set this test to this document and click on select items. All right, so as you can see here, the document has been attached. So this test is going to be tied to that document that was already uploaded. Now, I would also like to state this. Now, if you notice, I have not created them. This is the generate button. I've not created any content yet. But we're already seeing content here, right? So where is this content coming from? Now, mind, this is also an example. So because I told you earlier that once you have created a course and you've given it a title, right, which in this case is Introduction to Digital Electronics, the AI is already trained to understand that it is working with digital electronics. So any content it is generating for you would be based on digital electronics. So even without you creating your own prompts and giving it instructions on what to do, it has already generated content that needs to be checked for accuracy and bias based on the course, right? It has already created this content based on this course already, because it's already looking at, okay, the name of this course is digital electronics. Let me even help this lecturer create some content. Then let him choose from it, edit it, play around with the content. All right. So you can see here the first question he created A rectifier diode converts alternating current, which is AC, to pulsing direct current, which is DC. So now this is a true or false question, right? And you can also see it also highlights the correct answer for you. Now, mind you, the correct answer you're seeing here, students will not be able to see it. It is only you as the instructor or lecturer that will be able to see this correct answer. When the student is taking this test, it will not show if that is the correct answer or not. It is up to them to decide. Sorry, I hope everyone can hear me. Can you see me clearly? Can you hear me? I can see some people saying there's no audio. If you can see me, if you can hear me, please, I want to see comments. I want to see emojis or reactions, right? So let me move on though. If you can hear me, if you can see my screen, please let me know. Okay, so while I'm waiting for the reactions, okay, I can see reactions. That's good. Okay, that's great. So, welcome, Mr. Jamila. Okay, so let's get on with it. So, like I mentioned earlier, here we already generate questions for it. Now up to you to decide which ones you want to pick, right? So now this is a true or false questions. This is an essay question, right? So this is the question here, and this is the example of what the answer should look or sound like, right? So it can basically create questions for you. It can actually also, generate answers that are based on that question. But as a lecturer, you still have control over these questions. You still have, thank you very much. You still have access to edit these answers, edit the questions, modify it anyhow you want, right? But this is it. So this takes out that problem of stay out a sheet of paper, and then after writing those questions, you now start marking them one by one, right? When I was in 100 level, there was a department in my faculty that had up to 600 students in 100 level alone. 600. Now imagine a lecturer for that department in one course, and it's a compulsory course, so everybody's taking all 600 of them. They'll now write a test, and then all of them will submit. That's why you start seeing a lot of paperwork. It's now take that lecturer like 2 weeks to grade those assessments and pass out the results. Because, mind you, that lecturer still has to be coming to class, teaching. The lecturer still has to be showing up, responding to students, helping them, still giving out assignments, preparing for exams, reading their lecture notes and stuff. So this helps to reduce that work. Create your test for your 600 students, upload it, right? Test is taken by your 600 students, AI will grade it and give them the results or hold it back. And then you do not really have to stress about a lot of these things. You will now be on more of a supervisory role where you're now checking if the answers match what you want, editing the questions, making sure that everybody's grade is there. And like I mentioned from yesterday, you can actually monitor their performance too, right? You can monitor their performance too. You can see how many people have taken the test, how many people have not. You can see their grades. You can also help you to keep track of any specific students that you feel is not performing well and is highly possible that that student will end up dropping out. So you want to make sure you're keeping track of your students, because it's actually a thing of pride as a lecturer that all your students are doing well, all of them are graduating to the next class, they are transitioning to the next class, they are moving to the next department, the next level. You don't want to have, it's not a thing of pride or joy when you have a student that you have been teaching and teaching and they keep repeating one course 3 times, 2 times, even once, unless they are, maybe the person is not just serious the first time, right? So it's also to your own benefit to have all these things set up to make sure that your learning and training is going properly. So moving to the next type of question, this is a matching question where you're meant to pick one prompt and then what it should go to, right? And you also have, you can see it says here, these are the prompts and these are the answers. Now, all the 4 prompts here have 4 answers, and these are also distractions. As you can see here, it says distractors, meaning that the students will see 4 prompts and they will see 8 answers. It's up to them to decide which one will be the correct one. and you see if they would fail or if they would actually pass, right? If they're paying attention, because it's not just reading the material, it's about being exposed to new content, being exposed to new knowledge, and also learning outside of the class, right? You have another set of questions here. Now, like I mentioned, these questions were generated by AI before I even told it to generate questions, right? Because what I told AI to generate here is multi-choice, but we've not clicked on the generate button. Meanwhile, AI has already given us different types of questions here for us to pick from. So if we do not like all these questions, we can just generate our own from scratch. If we like the questions, okay, I think I might need to move my face out of the frame a bit. Okay, so I'm still here, but this time around I'm at the top. Okay, so I have to move out so you can see this button here. So now this, when you have selected any of the questions that have been generated, you can now use the add assessment button to add those questions into your test. All right. So now let's generate new questions. Let's say we don't like any of these questions here. Let's say I'm an electronics lecturer and I don't like any of the questions here. AI don't give me what I want. Right? So now let's create new questions and new content. So I want to do 15 questions. I want the complexity to be very high, very, very high, right? And then I want it to be multi-choice questions. So once I'm done with all these settings here, I'm now going to do generate. So as you can see, the AI is generating based on the instructions I have given to it. Okay, so let's wait for that. So while this is loading, if you have any questions so far, you can drop it. If you have any confusions, you can drop it in the chat. Let me see if I can, try to pick it up before we're done with the training. There'll still be a question and answer session, kind of, where you can give like 5-10 minutes for people to drop their questions and we take them before we call it a day. Okay? And then subsequently, there might be more trainings like this to make sure, because we want to make sure that we train every lecturer in every school. We want you guys to be able to use Blackboard and enjoy it. We want you to enjoy going to class. It's not a situation where you wake up in the morning, start thinking about how I'll go to class and be standing for 3 hours, 2 hours, 4 hours, and I'll ask questions. Does anybody understand me? Everybody will say, no, you have to start again. We want you to enjoy the job that you are doing to make sure we have better performing students in the education sector. So now you see here it has generated 15 complex questions based on the instructions I was given here. And I'm not an electronics student, so I don't even know what these questions should look like or what the answers should look like. Right, but these are the questions here. And also, if you notice, it seems like there are some computer questions in it, right? Because I am a computer science student, so I can see all these different logic gates here. So there are some questions, there are some computer questions in it. Now, why it is like this is because we also have some binary questions here, right? Why we have all this mixed choice, because if you remember, we added a course item, right? We tailored this course to this document, and this is a computer science document. It is not an electronics document. So basically what AI did was to merge digital electronics and computer science together, right? So he merged those two topics. You see how wonderful it is. Merged those two topics and he gave us 15 complex questions that only people in both fields will be able to understand, right? So if it's something that you're taking in your class, it is something that your students should be able to understand. So now let's say we don't like any of these questions and want to create some more. So let's do this. Let's adjust the complexity, reduce the questions to like, let's say 10, right? And then let's generate. We've removed, now mind you, we've removed this computer science document. It's just the topic itself. So let AI generate it for us, okay? And then we can see what is happening. So now as you can see, the whole thing has changed. We have 10 questions, all multi-choice. And as you can see here, they're all tailored towards electronics itself. All right, this is all tailored towards digital electronics, rather, not just electronics, digital electronics. So you can see all the different questions. They're all multi-choice questions, objectives basically, we call them objectives, right? These are multi-choice or objective questions. You have the question here, you have the different answers, and you have the correct answer. So now what are we going to do? We're going to select these questions and adding them to the test. So everybody can see what we're talking about. We're not just making mouth or saying Blackboard can do this and we're not seeing anything. So let's add all the different 10 questions here. All right. These are the 10 questions. So once you're done selecting the questions you want, let's say we don't want number 10. You don't have to pick all the questions. You pick the ones you want. You come to this button here where my face was, and then you click add 9 to assessments. So as you can see, this was empty before, but it is about to change. Okay, I'm sure everybody can still see my screen, right? And you can still see me. Okay. Thank you, Rockefeller. I'm glad you're enjoying the presentation. So, as you can see, this was empty before, but now we have what? Questions inside it. You can see the different questions, right? And the correct answers also. The different options and the correct answers. Now, remember, if you're creating a content, or you're looking for new content, you want to add new stuff into this test, or any part of Blackboard, right? You're looking for this line here, or this plus button. If you remember, I mentioned this earlier. You make sure you just, once you hover around here, you just notice this pops up and then you click on it. This would allow you, can even, as you can see, you can also add more questions, right? So you can do a mixture of questions in your test. Let's say number 1 to 9, right? Let's say 1 to 8 is going to be multi-choice. Then we'll now add some fill in the blanks. Let's do some fill in the blank questions, right? Let's do fill in the blank questions. So you can add one fill in the blank here, right? So you can see this will now be number 9 and this becomes number 10. So you can mix your questions around. But now let's say we want to generate this question with AI. You also have access, in your fill in the blank, you can decide that this question is going to be 10 marks, while the other objectives will now be 1 mark each. All right? This is where you're going to put, you see, format your question text. Okay, you have all these instructions, right, for your question, because you want to make sure that your question is understandable by the AI that is inside, so that when students are answering that question, it can also help you to grade that question. All right, it can also help you to grade that question. So what you want to do here, you want to type your question. So we're still going to use our same prompt from earlier. It's going to be introduction to digital electronics. Okay, and then okay, we're supposed to have a next step, but the question is not long enough, right? So once you're done editing all this, it says your question text. You can also format it with these options. And once you're done with that, you want to now go to the next step, which will allow you to have your answers, right? So this is it. Automated feedback means AI is going to give feedback to the students after that. So you have correct answer feedback. Now this helps you to say, yes, typing in capital, yes, this is correct. So if the answer they gave is correct, you're going to be, this is going to send them a feedback, right? And then if it's not correct, they're going to see, no, this is not correct. Okay? Now, once you're done with this, you can now save this. But we're not done because we're not actually giving the question a proper, I'll say a proper question, right? We've not set a proper question for this test. So now let's do this. Let's take that out. Let's do that at number 10. Let's auto-generate using AI, and then we'll now look at this again. So let's do okay. So we're going to change this question type. We're going to make it fill in the blank, right? That was what we did earlier, correct? So let's make the complexity low. We just want 4 questions, and we're going to click on. Now, before remember what happened again, we just come here. We've not generated anything yet, but we already have some samples. If you like the samples, you can pick them. If you do not like them, you can generate your own here, right? So let's generate some new samples. So you can see samples here. This is a question. This is the blank space. So your students are expected to know what would be here. And this is where the answer would be. Okay? So you have question, blank space to put your answer, and what the answer should be. All right? So if you've seen any question you like, you select it. Let's say we like all these questions. You want to select all of them and add 4 to assessment. Okay, how did you paste the questions? Mr. Israel, so how you paste the questions is what I just did now. When you generate your questions, the AI, you now select add to, let me go back again. If you're using auto-generate, what you want to do after you've gotten your questions, either maybe the one AI generated for you automatically or the ones you prompted it to generate for you. Once you select all of this, you see this wasn't showing before. This is the button we're looking out for right here, add to assessment, right? It wasn't showing before, but you can see it now when you click on one of the questions. So once you do add to assessment, the question is going to come in, right? So you can see that question that was just created now. In synchronous digital circuit, a clock signal was created, okay? You can see that question right here. So now we have a test with over 14 questions already, right? So now you have other options. You can handle submissions from here. You can see how many people have submitted, okay? This is saying 0/8 because there are 8 students in this. You can see the different 8 students. So you can see their grades. I told you can also use the system to monitor the grades. So when any of these students take this test, you can see their grades from here. You can also send them a message directly from here. All right. We have student activity, which of them, you see how those individual students are performing, right? You have question analysis, checking how the question you created for this test is also performing, right? You want to make sure that the questions you are working with are questions that people can actually answer. You don't want to be those kind of lecturers that would not set questions that are answerable by students. You want to make sure your questions are easy enough for your students to answer, but let them still be taxed, right? You don't want them to just have questions that they can answer without even reading. Right? Then after that, you have the different assessment settings here. Now, let's click on assessment settings and see what we have. All right. Okay, I can see some questions about controlling exam malpractice. Okay, how do you paste questions? So I've answered the question about how do you paste questions. So for exam malpractice, students have access to Blackboard. Can they generate questions which may be the same as the one you and the teacher have for them? No. So the students do not have access to, they have access to Blackboard. They don't have access to the generative AI for questions. It is only you, the lecturer, that has access to that. What the students might see, the AI that the students have access to, is the AI conversation, which I mentioned like a chatbot. And that is still when you as a lecturer enables that for them, right? So this training is focused on lecturers. These are the features that lecturers have access to. The features that students have access to do not involve anything about controlling the quiz or the test or the course. The students will just come into Blackboard and learn the materials or content that has been uploaded by the lecturers. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Email Thomas. The students do not have access to the AI or this whole backend of this course that we're working with. All right. Then for the question about controlling exam malpractice, so I'm about to just start that now. If you can see my screen, if you can hear me and also see me, please let me know so we can go on. I'm about to start the malpractice part of it to make sure, to show you the different parameters that you can set to make sure that everything is fixed, right? So, there's the way you set a test that students do not even have the time to cheat. It might be very easy to answer the questions, but they won't even have the time to copy from anybody, even use their own AI. They won't have that time, right? So there are a lot of parameters and settings in this assessment that you can use to make sure you restrict the different malpractice problems that could come up. All right, so let's get on with it. So as you can see here, you have due dates. So like I mentioned, you can decide to be at home on a Wednesday, Thursday, like today, and set your assessments for Saturday, set it for Friday, set it for Sunday. That's when the due dates will come in. So due date is basically like a deadline, right? You can set your assessment and say, okay, everybody will have access to it today, but the deadline for you to finish this assessment is next week. All right, the deadline for you to finish assessment is next week Sunday, next week Monday. It's really up to you to play around. So, but when you look at all the different options, you can see there are a lot of them. All right, a lot of options, but we need to cover them one by one, so nobody needs to worry. I'm going to take us back to the top and we'll cover all this one by one. Now, the first one you have is the due date. When is the deadline for this test? You have the dates with a mini calendar, you have the time with a mini clock for you to pick from. Now, you have no due date, meaning the test is going to be open continuously. Any student that enrolls into this course can take the course at any time. All right, you have prohibit late submissions. This simply means, so you know how you might say you have an exam or test for 30 minutes, and then a student comes in 20 minutes late, meaning they have only just 10 minutes left. So you now give them extra time, which would be like a late submission, right? Or a student misses the test altogether and they come and start begging you, sir, ma, please, I need, you can give me a different test, I can write it in your office, but let me just have a chance. Now that is where late submissions comes in, right? Because the test is over, so it's a late submission. So, but if you turn this off, right? If you turn it off, you can allow late submissions, meaning people that miss the test or miss the deadline can submit later on, but it's going to cost them a certain amount of marks. All right, it's going to cost them some marks. It's not going to be for free. It's going to cost the student some marks. It's not going to be free. Okay, so now we have that. We have prohibit new attempts after due date. This simply means after you set your deadline, your due date, nobody can submit after that date, right? When you turn this on, this will not allow people to submit after the due date. You have allow class conversation, which allows students to communicate even after the test, right, or during the test also. Now you have presentation options. Now this is to answer the question about exam malpractice, or yes, in general. You have display one question at a time. Now you know we have 14 questions. And for maybe people that have participated in the CBT exam or invigilated the CBT exam, you know most of the times you see things like random questions, maybe somebody's, maybe like even in WAEC, they had type A, type B, even in the physical exams, right? There's type A, type B. So you could be writing type A questions, the person beside you writing type B questions. So automatically the questions are different. But most times the questions could be the same, but they are jumbled, they are reshuffled, moved around. But that way people could still copy because they are sitting beside each other. So it's for me to tell you, okay, this question is about Blackboard. Help me go through your own list, find me the answer, and give it to me. But here in actual Blackboard, you cannot do that. Why? Because there are a lot of parameters for you to block those widths. All right. So let's look at all those different parameters that we have here. So now you have the first one, which is display one question at a time. So if you remember, we created 14 different questions in this test. So display one question at a time means when any students start taking this test, they will only be able to see question one. Now they need to finish question one before they move to question two. Please, if you guys are following, I want to know that you guys are following. I want to see comments, please. So Mr. Daniel, this is for you, managing or controlling exam malpractice, right? So if you're following, if you're hearing me loud and clear, you can see me, please let me know. All right. So display one question at a time means you can only see question one, and you have to finish question one before you move to question two. You cannot see question one and two at the same time. You cannot finish. You can't see the whole 1 to 14 at the same time. Now, even if somebody is beside you, they cannot see the question. You guys could be on different questions if you work on these other ones here that will show us. And then let's say I'm on question one because I'm in type A. This person is in type B. They will be on question 15. They would not see question one as I am saying it. So I cannot even change that. Now the next option is prohibit backtracking. Now this simply means if I have answered question one, I am not going back. Let's say I'm the student. I've answered question one in your test. But prohibiting backtracking means I cannot go back to question one. So if I've answered question one and the next person is, I'm now in question two, the next person is in my own question one, and they're like, what's the answer for this? And I'm like, oh, I forgot to let me go back and check. I will not be able to go back because the lecturer has turned on this function that says prohibit backtracking. So I won't be able to go back to that question. I have to just keep going. The person beside me that wants to copy has to keep going, right? So the next one is randomized questions. Now this is where the whole type B, type A situation comes in, where you have, there'll be one person, my own questions will be, we have 14 questions, right? So type A would be 1 to 5 as 1 to 5. Type B would be 6 to 10 as 1 to 5. Type C would now be 11 to 14 or 15 as their own 1 to 5. So 3 different sets of questions inside one test for 3 different groups of people, right? So that is what randomized questions will do. It's going to randomize the different questions that you have. Instead of arranging it like you can see here that says question 1, question 2, question 3, I might be saying 1, 2, 3. Another person will be saying 3, 2, 1. Another person will be saying 4, 5, 6 or 6, 5, 4. Different questions entirely. There's no specific pattern to the questions or sequence, right? Now you also have randomized answers. Now this would randomize multi-choice answers randomly for students. Now what does this mean? If you can see, I know it's a bit faint, but I don't want to go out. But if you can see here, you have NAND, OR, and NOT. These are the 4 answers, right? So let's say the first person would see NAND, OR, and NOT. But when I now select these randomized answers as a lecturer, another person will now be seeing NOT, OR, NAND, and. So now what this is going to do, it's still going to help with copying, right? Yes, Grace, it's possible to do multi-choice and essay questions together. If you remember when I was creating the questions, you have options to create. After you created the first type, you can create another type of question. So you can create multi-choice, then in between or at the end, you can create essay questions. So it takes a lot of questions. Now let's get back to this. Now when you do randomized answers, if you notice we've selected randomized questions, randomized answers. Now this simply means the question I'm seeing as my question 1 will be different from your own question 1. The answers I'm seeing as my A or B will be different from your own A or B. It could be your own C and A or B or D or any other combination. Now what this is going to help do is, during normal physical MCQ tests or exams, you can have situations where students are like, okay, number 1, what is the answer? And the next person will just say B. And I'll just go and shade B. Right? But if you randomize these answers now, even if we're sitting beside each other, but because we still look at the other different settings, but even if we're in one class, rather not sitting beside each other, because you want to give space in your test stand, or even if we're in one class, if you ask me what is my number 1, and I tell you the answer is B, that answer could be, the answer is correct, mind you. On my side, it's showing B, but on your own side, the answer could be D or C. So if I tell you B and you pick B, you will now be wrong and you fail. And you ask me, but you told me B, and I said yes, I picked B, and the answer was actually B. But because you randomize those answers as a lecturer, it's going to randomize these options for the students, right? We also have randomized pages, but since we have only one page, you cannot select this option. Now you have formative assessments, formative tools rather, to format the assessments for students. Okay, then you have the grading and submission. Now this is the very important part of it. All right, this is a very, very important part of it. Now, this allows you to control the grading that would be done, right? So before I even start the grading and submissions, I want us to look at this part here. This is responsible for the automatic grading by AI. This is where you're telling the AI in Blackboard that, okay, when this test is done, help me to grade it, give the students that result. That is what this is for. If you turn this off, it means you want to grade the assessment by yourself. But if this is turned on, it means that you want to allow AI to grade it for you. Okay, so now after this particular section, we're going to go on a quick, just maybe 5 minutes break to make sure that everybody is understanding what is happening, and then we will continue with the other different features in the course. Okay, so grading and submissions. You have this. How do you want the test to be graded as? A test, a form, an assignment, a discussion. These are the various options. You can even grade it as an exam. All right? Attempts allowed. Now, attempts allowed helps you to allow your students to retake the assessment or the test. Right? You want a situation whereby students will be able to say, okay, I failed the first time, I didn't do really well, let me try it again, and maybe I'll do better. Okay, you want to give them the option to be able to, perform better in the test that you're giving them. So if you increase this, you'll notice that some new options have come out, which is attempts to grade. Now, attempts to grade is basically telling the automatic grading system that, okay, which attempts do you want to grade? The last attempt or the first attempt or all attempts? Now, first attempt is actually in the name. This simply means that the first attempt you make, if you get, we have 14 questions. If you have 10 over 14, that is what the AI will grade for you. Last attempt means if you have 10 over 14 the first time, the second time you have 3 over 14. 3 over 14 is what is going to grade for you because that is the last attempt. Because you have 2 attempts, right, allowed. Now, all attempts means it's going to grade the 2 of them. So the first one we had 10 over 14, the second one we had 3 over 14. You join that together, that will give you 13, and then you now want to do an average grade calculation, which will give us 6.5, but it's going to be 7 since it's going to be rounded up to 7. Right, so now if you select all attempts, another option has also come out, which is final grade calculation. Now this basically tells, okay, when somebody has done 2 attempts and you're grading the 2 attempts, how do you want that attempt to be graded? The highest grade, meaning inside those 2, you're going to pick the highest. So inside 10 and 14, 10 is the highest. And lowest grade means inside those 2, you're going to pick the lowest. So inside 10 and what's it called? Randomizing the questions option affects marking scheme. Inside 10 and 14, it's going to pick the lowest grade. Alright? Then you have average, which is going to, like I mentioned earlier, get the 2 of them and then give you the average score. Or even if it's more than 1, if it's more than 2 attempts rather, it's give you the average of those 2 attempts. Alright? Then you have maximum points, which will allow you you can set your questions to the maximum points or what's it called, grades that you want your students to get from that test. So in this case, it is set to 14, and this is because we're using MCQs, but you can also change the question type. But the question type affects the points, right? So you can change the question type, you can increase it to get more points here or get more grades. And if you add more questions, you get more grades, right? So you can say, okay, this test is not going to be 14 marks, the test is going to be 20, 30, 40 marks, right? Now you have anonymous grading, which you do not want to do because you want to be able to know which student was the highest. So if you're talking in class tomorrow and you're like, okay, this particular student is the best in this course, you need to know who that student is. You need to know their names. That is what anonymous grading would affect if you turn it on. So we have evaluation options, which is delegated grading. You can assign, the way you have assistants, you can assign people to help you grade this test. Right, you create a group set, you add those people into those groups. If you guys remember, yesterday we were creating groups, right? So if you create those groups and add students into those groups or your fellow instructors, you just have to come here, you select the group set of the students or instructors, and then you add them as assignment graders, so they will be able to help you grade the assignments with their own accounts. Now you have assessment grade. This is for AI to automatically grade the assessment for you. Please make sure this is always turned on, unless you want to grade it yourself. You still have control over the course. Nobody's imposing anything on you. All right. Now you have assessment results. How do you want this assessment to be viewed? Do you want your students to see it immediately, which is available after submission? You can always change that. So this means after the test, the students will see their scores immediately they finish submitting. You have the different other options after due dates. If you set this for Sunday, it means on Monday or after that due date or time on Sunday is when the students will be able to see it. After individual grade is posted, after all grades are posted. So even if you have 20 students, if 10 of them have taken the test, those 10 cannot see it until when the remaining 10 or the complete group of students have taken it. Specific dates, you can write the test now, the results will not come out till when the specific date that you have selected or scheduled, or even time. So now it is currently 12:46. But let's say everybody is writing the test now and want the results to come out by 7 p.m. That is what this is for. All right. You have the other options here. Do you want to show question feedback? Do you want to show question scores? Do you want to show correct answers? Now, why this is important is because if your students pick the test and they take it and they fail some questions, they should be able to know which questions they have failed. All right. They should be able to know which questions they have failed. You don't want the situation whereby the students would now, fail the question and then they don't know which one is the correct answer. They just know that they failed. So you want them to learn the correct answers and also use it to practice going forward, right? So that is why you should always make sure show correct answers is enabled. It is not on by default. It is up to you, the lecturer, to turn it on or turn it back off. Yes, the lesson would be watched after this. So you do not have a problem. It's fully recorded and it is going to be uploaded and you can actually watch it later on. Okay, question feedback. Do you want to give question feedback? Do you want to give question scores? We've already said this to be available after grades are posted. Now we have access code. Now, why is this important? Now, yesterday I mentioned that as a lecturer, this does not automatically force you out of classes. It doesn't mean you should not come to class. It doesn't mean you cannot come to class. Now, I said yesterday you can actually have a physical class, but a virtual teaching. Everybody's in the class online with their devices and you're learning online. You're not writing on the board. This is a blackboard. This is a virtual blackboard. You don't need to write on a physical blackboard to teach your students. Now, access code can help. Let's say you have a small group of students, right? You have a small group of students and then you have them in class. Let's say you even have a big group of students. Now, you can easily do this. You can create an access code for your students and make it required, right? Now, let me make this visible. Now, this simply means any student that does not have this code cannot take this test. So when I want to start this test, it will ask me for a code. The test is locked though. The lecturer has locked the test. Please give me the code. Then the students will now have to ask you, which is the lecturer, for that code. Now, why I say this will also help in physical classes. You know how you can come to class one day and then there are only 10 people in the class, 20 people in the class out of 50 people. So you can just set a quick test on Blackboard and then set an access code, right? And I know people might be wondering, okay, what if, what if the students pass the code out to their fellow students that are outside the class? And that is very good because if they pass the code out, you can easily do this. You just come and see here that says refresh code. Once you've given everybody in the class the code, if it's only a small group, you can just give it to them manually. If it's a large group, yes, Jane, the correct answers will only be showed for lecturers. The students will not see the correct answers, just the lecturers. So if you have a large group, you can tell them, okay, this is the access code. You have 20 seconds or 10 seconds, right, to take this access code and start your test, right? Excuse me. You have 20 seconds to take this access code and start your test. Apologies. So you have 20 seconds or 10 seconds to start your test. Now, once you give them that, I know you might be wondering what if they now share to their colleagues that are outside. You don't need to worry about that one. Immediately you post that thing there and you tell them 10 seconds, 20 seconds. The next thing you want to do is come into your test settings here and click on refresh. You can see what just happened. The code has changed. You refresh this, you save this, the code has changed. Meaning, even people that have those old codes and they are giving it to other people, you would see that those people would not be able to access the test. So everybody that's outside the class will not have access to the test. Now, why is this good? This is good because to make people to be coming to class, to make people to pay attention, right? It will make sure that people understand that, okay, this class now I need to be going. This lecturer is actually being very difficult. I won't say very difficult, sorry. This lecturer is actually being very strict, right? You want to make sure that your students understand that they need to learn to pass. All right. Now you see this is the code now. Let's say I've copied this code and given it to the students, or I want to give it to my other students that are not, maybe my colleagues. Let's say I'm a student. I'm giving it to my colleagues that are, or my classmates rather, that are in the hostel. What am I going to do now? I've copied this on and then the lecturer has changed it. Now, what did I have? Right, everybody knows this is the code that we had. Let me put it here. Right, this is the code that we have 319083. Right, but now the lecturer has changed it. If you come here, you see the code has changed again. It's no more 319 anymore. It's now a different code. So if I do not have this code, I cannot start this test. And this would also help because when students start complaining, some people say they cannot start the test, you know that those people are not paying attention, you know that those people are not in class. So you already know that those students are not in your class or they did not come to class today. And if those students even eventually say they come into class, they now go and hide at the back of the class when this test has started and now be like, sir, we've not started the test, the code is not working, you know that they are just coming to pass. So there are a lot of measures here that can help you, that can help you restrict malpractice in your test and exams. Now the next one is time limits. All right, now I mentioned earlier that there are a lot of functions that you can use. Now this is one of them, a very good one. We have 14 questions. Ideally, a question that is not a multi-choice question is ideally 1 minute 50 seconds. Sorry, 30 seconds, not 50. 1 minute 30 seconds. But you can also make it a little bit interesting, right? You can make those questions a little bit interesting. Now, what do I mean by that? We have 14 questions. So let's do 12 minutes for those 14 questions, right? Now, 12 minutes means you have barely 1 minute to answer every question that has been uploaded. So there's no time for you to even copy. It's not when I have 3 minutes left and I still have like six questions to answer. I will now start telling you my number one is A, my number two is B. I will not even remember you, right? You have 12 minutes to answer all your 14 questions. So let's say 30 minutes. Let's not look like we're being unfair. 30 minutes means you still have less than 1 minute per question, right? To answer all your different questions, all the 14 questions. Now you have this work is automatically submitted and saved and submitted rather when the time expires. So you know how like during jam, once it is time's up, nobody's going to come and ask you, pens up, submit your paper, submit your exam. No. Once that time is up, your exam is submitted. And for other CBT platforms too, for lecturers that have taken CBT exams, you know how that works. Once the time is up, you have submitted. Nobody's going to come and collect your pen from you. Nobody's going to come and tell you, it's time's up, oh, give me your paper. No, 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 no. You don't need to be shouting to your students, submit to, I'm leaving now. If I pass that door, I'm not collecting anybody's script. Course rep, follow me. Your answers are going to follow you. The course rep doesn't need to follow you. Right? Now you have this one that says students have extra time. Now, if you remember earlier, I talked about late submissions. I talked about those late submissions coming at a cost. So let's look at that. The first one here we have extra time, meaning you're giving students an extra time out of that 13 minutes. Yeah, so you can see here it is set to 50%. Now this percentage works with the overall time that was created for the test, right? The overall time is 13 minutes. The 50% of 13 minutes is 7 minutes, which is supposed to be 6.5, but like I mentioned, it will be rounded up to the next whole number, right? So 50% is 7 minutes. If you want to give them extra time of 100%, that would be full 13 minutes. That would now make the test a total of 26 minutes. But if you leave it at 50%, that would be 7 minutes. So that would be 7 minutes plus 13 minutes, which would be 20 minutes in total. Now, what this will do is it will not show your students they have extra time. It will just show them 13 minutes. Now, when they start, they're getting close to 13 minutes and start begging, sir, please, the questions are this, we have not finished. You can say, okay, extra time, 5 minutes more, 6 minutes more. And that's when the extra time would kick in. All right? We have align with goals. Like we did earlier, you can assign those tests or the submissions to a particular goal. Meaning, if you finish module 1, if you do not read module 2, if you do not download these documents or watch this video inside the course itself, you cannot take the test. Assign groups. Now, this is when the group has been created. You can assign a test to a particular group. And you also have a description. Right? Description will allow you to put a short message. Right? This will allow you to put a short message here for everybody to see. Okay? So this is a short description that will be posted in this test. Once you're done, you click on save. No, so we're not assigning any graders, so we're going to close and save that. Or rather, save and close that. All right. So our test is ready. So I see all the different parameters that we've set. Timeline. We've set it to grade as a test. We've set the total points. We've set the time limits. We've set the number of attempts. We've done everything. We've even added the description. Now remember, I don't know if anybody remember this, right? Let's make this a little interactive, right? So this is currently 12:57. We're just going to do 2 minutes, just 2 minutes. Now that this test is ready, what is the next thing to do? I want to see comments. The person that gets the right comment or right answer, we're going to pin your comments in the chat for everybody to see and make sure and to know that yes, this person is paying attention. So just 2 minutes. So by 12:59, we're going to get back and see who has the right answer. Now that this whole test is ready, what is the next thing to do? If you've been paying attention, you should know. It's actually here on my screen, but you should know the answer, and I want to know who is paying attention. So 2 minutes and we'll be back.
Before they open your first lesson, let them meet you. Blackboard, teaching, still human. I hadn't even opened with one yet, and I already knew I'd be okay in her class. Blackboard, teaching, still human. Before they open your first lesson, let them meet you. Blackboard, teaching, still human. I hadn't even opened with one yet, and I already knew I'd be okay in her class. Blackboard, teaching, still human. Before they open your first lesson, let them meet you. Blackboard, teaching, still human. I hadn't even opened with one yet, and I already knew I'd be okay in her class. Blackboard, teaching, still human. Before they open your first lesson, let them meet you. Blackboard, teaching, still human. I hadn't even opened with one yet, and I already knew I'd be okay in her class. Blackboard, teaching, still human. Before they open your first lesson, let them meet you. Blackboard, teaching, still human. I hadn't even opened with one yet, and I already knew I'd be okay in her class. Blackboard, teaching, still human. Before they open your first lesson, let them meet you. Blackboard, teaching, still human. I hadn't even opened with one yet, and I already knew I'd be okay in her class. Blackboard, teaching, still human. Before they open your first lesson, let them meet you. Blackboard, teaching, still human. I hadn't even opened week 1 yet, and I already knew I'd be okay in her class. Blackboard, teaching, still human. Before they open your first lesson, let them meet you. Blackboard, teaching, still human. I hadn't even opened week 1 yet, and I already knew I'd be okay in her class. Blackboard, teaching, still human. Before they open your first lesson, let
Okay, welcome back. Yes, okay, welcome back everyone. So I can see the comments coming in. That's nice. Yes, so the first correct answer here, am I audible? Can you hear and see me? I hope you can see my screen. The first correct answer here is from Tyrin Ingero 2663. That's great. So we're going to pin your message. Congratulations. You're the first person to answer correctly. So what we want to do, all right? What we want to do. Yes, so what we want to do is to make sure we make this available to students right here, right? Let it be visible to students. So that's great. So I can see some good answers too from Ernest. I can see from Ishak Garba. I can also see from Messi. I can see from Kingsley. Inform the students to get ready for the test. Mr. Kan, yes, so you have to inform them, but at the same time, you want to make sure the test is also available. They can see the test after you have informed them. But that's also correct. Okay, so that's actually very good. Thank you, everyone. I'm happy that everyone is participating and actually paying attention, right? So let's get back to it so we can get on with the test, the training and roundup. All right, so now we're done with this. We've made it visible to students, and then we can now leave. Now, what does this mean? It means any student in this course can now take this test. You can see all the different parameters that has been set, right? From due date to time to the formative tool that was turned on to the deadline and also the extra time. And you can also see the description, like the short message that was created. Now you can see I can actually move this around. So this is the document, this is another document, this is the test. So you can say you want this document to come after, or rather you want this test to come after this document. All right. Can you guys still see me? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you very much. The network is trying to act up again, but we're going to be good. So now, we can also move this around. We want to say, okay, this test will come after you're finished reading everything. All right? This test will come after you're finished reading everything. So you can move it around. You even want the test to be like the introduction. You can put the test first. Now you also have these plus buttons before and after. Now why do you have these plus buttons before and after? The first reason is you can create more content before the test. You can also create more content after the test. Now that's the simple reason for why we have it before and after. All right? And it's not just text, you can also create a different other content, right? So there are a lot of other options that we can work with, and we covered these tools here again today. So what we're going to do, I'm going to move to the video studio feature. We're going to actually play around with it and properly understand it. Then we're now going to do a what's it called, we're going to do a summary again. We could cover from yesterday and then today's, we'll just merge it together, and so that we can call it a day. But I'm sure a lot of Muslims here would also be going to pray very soon, so we don't want to inconvenience anyone. All right, but the training is going to proceed as planned, and we're going to cover everything. We're not just going to end it abruptly. Okay, so we have these other options here. So you can always see people in your course, the attendance, and your course tools. So let's still work on the course upload, the course content upload actually. All right. So now we'll click on create again. We've done documents, we've done tests, we can do assignment, we can do form. Let's work on the AI conversion first. Sorry, conversation, not conversion. Now, who can tell me what this button is for? Who can remember what this button is for? I want to see some comments. Who can remember what this button is for? I'm watching my chat now, so I want to know who is paying attention while I'm creating the title. Who can remember what that icon is for? That button, what does it do? What does it control? Any comments? Anybody with me? Okay, so great. So the button is actually still the same auto-generate function that we've been talking about since. So when you click on it, it's going to auto-generate a conversation based on the course content, right? Remember I said all the features are course specific, right? So this AI conversation is actually a very broad topic, and it's actually a very nice and important one. All right, it's actually a very nice and important one. Now, you can see here we have two. First off, you want to choose the conversation type. You can also set points. So let's set this to 20 points. Oh, sorry, not 200, 20 points, right? Now you can set points, and then you now have conversation type. Yes, thank you very much. I can see, yeah, Aisha is right. Um, Uduak Ekanem is also correct. Auto generated. Yeah, that's even the first correct answer. Thank you very much. So select the type of conversation you want your students to have. Now I mentioned this is like a chatbot. It's not just for, it's like the way you're sending messages to ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Meta AI, any of them, DeepSeek. When you send them a message, they are responding to you. You send them a message, they're responding to you, and you guys will now start a full discussion or conversation on that topic. And you can do the same thing directly inside Blackboard based on your topic, right? Based on the course itself. So you have this here, conversation type, Socratic questioning. Encourage students to think critically through continuous questioning, meaning the AI will be the one asking the questions. It's not be like an oral interview, like this kind of meeting we're having, where I'm talking, you're hearing me. All right. So the AI will be the one asking these questions. The AI will be the one, okay. And the good thing is, it's not just going to take any nonsense answer from your students. The students have to say the right thing. They have to think properly. They have to think critically. They're not just going to say, this is what the teacher told us. The answer, the next question the AI is going to give would come based on that answer that the students have given. So they ask, what is digital electronics? And you're like, digital electronics is basically studying electronics in digital appliances or let's say digital equipment. AI might just look at it and be like, that's a shabby answer. But okay, why did you just mention equipment? Why didn't you mention medical equipment? There are also digital medical equipment. It would also push your students to think more, right? That's what Socratic questioning would do. Now you have role play, all right? Role play allows students to play out a scenario with the AI persona. So role play gives them, let's say you're setting this AI persona to be like a, a professor or an engineering lecturer or what's it called, field expert, right, an industry expert. Now that is what this AI persona would be. So any question you want to ask, any discussion you want to have, it already has all the knowledge on the topic and it will be giving you that discussion back to back with your students. All right. Now you selected your question type. You want to come to conversation settings. So set the scene and define the student's role. So here you're going to set the kind of scene you want, right? So here we can say something like this. Let's say, all right, so you have this. So now this is the scene, right? So you've told AI what it should look like. Then you have conversation constraints. These are still more settings. Students message limit. So you can set how long the conversation would be and how many messages it should stop at. So student message limit. So let's say students should not send more than 30 messages, right? Conversation time limit. So even if this conversation is going smoothly, the students are enjoying this conversation with the AI persona, it should not be more than 1 hour. So 60 minutes, they say time limit in minutes. So 1 hour is 60 minutes. So we'll just leave it at 60. Then you have this. You see, what should the AI be? Now this is where you're developing the persona completely, right? This is for the students here. This one now is for the students. Conversation settings. Set the scene and the student's role. So the scene is where there's a discussion with intent students or students who are interns, right? Yeah. The students who are interns are discussing with an industry expert on the field. Now, once you're done with that one, so this one is for students. Then this one here is for the AI itself. So you have set the persona for students. Let's set the persona for student for the AI. So you have here, you can put an image here. You can edit this image, upload from your device, your laptop. You can also get from the internet, right? You can also get from the internet, like on Splash. You can get from. So you see, it has really see what happened there. I did not type this. So because I had already set the scene here for students and said industry expert, it has also put that here. So it's looking for an industry expert image. So you can use something like this. You know that this person is going to be an industry expert, right, in their own field. So this would be the picture of the AI, right? You can change the person's name. So let's say it's going to be okay. You can put the person's personality and instructions. You want the person to be supportive. You want the person to be strict. You want the person to be encouraging. You're basically building your own chatbot. And how difficult do you want the responses from this our industry experts to be? So you want it to be low. You want it to be high, right? And this is a very very nice feature because instead of always having discussions, individual discussions with your students, you can have all of them have their individual discussions with an industry expert by themselves, right? With you out of the question. Okay, so once you're done with that, you now click on save to set up the AI persona. As you can see here, time limit is 60 minutes, message limit is 30 messages. right? So let's even preview the chat. Let's see what that looks like. So you can see everything is working. There's no system is down. So you see here, this is an AI conversation and responses are generated. Responses are generated so may and responses generated so may have bias or not be accurate. So, hi, my name is Engineer Dave. Share your thoughts on this topic. So now you see this is the topic. Welcome to our industry discussion. Interns in a globally recognized organization. You're stepping into the world, into like the new world and all of that. And then you let the AI know what is on your mind. So you can start with something like this, right? This is a proper conversation. I'm the only one here. There's nobody else. Now, this is one message. Mind you, my 30 minutes is counting, right? But this is one message, and you see AI is already responding. So it's responding based on the message I sent and also based on the prompt that has been set earlier, right? So you see it's already tagging me as an intern, right? Being an intern here means you get to work on real projects and all that. So you see, there are a lot of things. You can set this AI conversation to have proper discussions with your students. In what ways did this conversation help? Now, this is a reflective question. So after the students are done, they can come and answer this question to tell you how impactful their discussion with this AI chatbot was, right? Now, remember, you are the lecturer, you have total control over this course. You can always come back later on to see whatever was happening here, all right? There's going to be a section for it to see whatever is happening here. Please, are we following? Are we enjoying this so far? Do you have any questions about AI persona? Should I go on? Do you like it? Is this something you would use after this training? So you can also reset the chart. You can edit it, right? You can see here, you come here, you can edit this. This will take you back to edit the settings of the chart with this AI, right? To make sure that everything is going smoothly. Okay, how are we doing, guys? Are we enjoying this so far? Is everything going well? Okay, let's move on to the next part of it. Okay, thank you very much, Bidemi. Thank you. So, now let's go on. Now you set all these different criteria. Now remember, this is not just going to be floating around the system. This is going to be inside this particular course, this introduction to digital electronics. So you have your test, you have your document, another document, and then the chat with your AI. Now remember, it's also very important to make it visible to students. Any content you upload, you want to make sure that it is visible to students. All right, you want to make sure that it is visible to students. Now let's do something else. I talked about Video Studio earlier, so let's work with Video Studio. All right, that will take a summary of everything that we have covered so far. So let's work with Video Studio. So we're going to do what? Click on the plus button, and then come to this option here that says Record Audio/Video. Now you have this screen here. Now as you can see, you have camera, you have audio, you have screen, which is sharing your screen. People that take a lot of meetings. I'm sharing my screen now, which is why you're able to see everything I'm doing here. All right. So you have audio and screen, and then you have video and screen. Now, audio and screen is basically you'll be sharing your screen and your voice, but nobody will see you, which is exactly what is happening now, right? I'm sure nobody can see my face, but you're seeing my screen and you're hearing my voice. Now, video and screen is sharing your screen and your camera, but not your audio. So that way, that would mean I'll be turning off my mic. So let me show you what that would look like. Let me turn on my camera first, so you can see me now, but I'm talking now, but nobody could hear me. So that is what it would look like. So let me turn this back off so you can work on Video Studio. Now you also have alternatively select a video or audio file to upload. Now this simply means you're uploading from your file, your internal storage, right? You see here, You can just look for any video or picture that you would want to upload and upload it into your course. Now let's do the first option, which is the share video. So what this is coming up, you can see me. Hello everyone. You can see me. My mic is open, my camera is open. Let me turn off the camera again. So you see anything I'm doing here is going to reflect. Now, so let's do this. We'll set the camera, let me set the mic on too. And once we set all of this, the next thing we're now going to do is click on start recording. Now what will start recording do, see, it even gives you a timer to let you know that it has started recording. So start recording will basically be recording everything that I'm doing, right? So now, as you can see everybody can see me now. So you see this is the share screen button. It's not on because I did not select to share my screen, right? So you have this here, start recording. You can also minimize this. This allows it to be recording in the background while I'm doing something else, as you can see. Okay, so you can also enlarge that again. So we're just going to do a very short video. So as you can see here, the limit is 30 minutes per video. Okay, but you can always upload more. So we're just going to make this 40 seconds video. You can always pause the recording if you want to maybe go out of frame or do something else. And then you can always end the recording when you are done. So now once you're done with that, you have this here. You can see the video is uploading, so it's processing this video. You have this title here, you're going to edit it. So we're going to call this a test video recording. All right. We have a description. You can put this here for, okay. So you have this. Then you also have these options here, access options, view only, view and download. And this is actually very self-explanatory, right? I hope everyone can still hear me because I know my camera is turned off now, but I hope everybody can hear me clearly. So, and you can also see my screen. So view only means your students will only be able to see this video inside Blackboard. View and download means they can see the video and then download it and have it on their different devices, not just inside Blackboard. So now let's even see the processing, say uploaded processing will start on save. So when I save the video, is when the processing will start and then upload it into the course. So let's even have a preview of what the video is like. So while this is playing, let me start that afresh. So I want you to see that everything is working properly in this system, right? So I'm going to mute my mic for this training so that you can listen to the video itself. Right? So now, as you can see everybody can see me now. So you see this is the share screen button. It's not on because I did not select to share my screen, right? So you have this here, start recording. You can also minimize this. This allows it to be recorded in the background while I'm doing something else, as you can see. Okay, so you can also enlarge that again. So we're just going to do a very short video. So as you can see here, the limit is 30 minutes per video. Okay, but you can always upload more. We're just going to make this 40 seconds video. You can always pause. Okay, so we're done with that. So as you can see, you're able to see clearly on my screen, it's a video we just recorded and it's working properly, right? So you don't need to worry about, oh, and you see the video is actually very clear too. So if you want better visuals, you can also get a webcam and attach to your device and do your recording. So now once you're done with this, let's select view and download. So let's allow students to be able to view and download this particular video, and then we're now going to save it. Now, saving this video is going to attach this video into the course the course content we're doing. So you can see it here. And then, as usual, once you're done, you click on visible to students. That way, any student that is in this course will be able to see all of this content that we have created today. All right. So let's try creating some more content with Video Studio. Right, so okay, while we're doing that, let me play a quick kind of like an introductory video to what the Video Studio can do for us, right? and how it can be used.
Before they open your first lesson, let them meet you. Blackboard, teaching, still human. I hadn't even opened with one yet, and I already knew I'd be okay in her class. Blackboard, teaching, still human. Before they open your first lesson, let them meet you. Blackboard, teaching, still human. I hadn't even opened with one yet, and I already knew I'd be okay in her class. Blackboard, teaching, still human.
Okay, welcome back. So now you've seen how you can use Video Studio, right? I mentioned earlier you can have, let's say, your first lecture, which is supposed to be like an introductory lecture, right? You can have that set up before you even start, right? You can have that set up before you even come to class. Just do a video for your students and upload to them. That is what Video Studio can help you do. So you have audio, which would help you just record your sound, but no camera or visuals, right? Just your sound. So as you can see, as I am talking, because my mic is open, if I turn this off, there's no movement here. But once I turn this on, you can see what is happening. These are sound waves, basically, because it's picking my voice and maybe any background sound. All right? Same process. Start recording. Once you're done, you stop the recording, right? Then let's look at the next one. Let's look at the next one. Now this is to share screen. Now this would allow you, so you can see here, it's asking me which screen would I like to share, right? So you can decide to share window, you can decide to share your whole screen. So it's up to you to decide what screen you want to share, and everybody will be able to see it in that recording. So you'll be sharing your screen and recording what you're sharing. So you have to, if you're using this particular feature or this if you're using any of these last three features, you want to make sure that you do not have any insensitive or private applications or files open. You don't want people to see the wrong things, or basically you don't want people to see things that they are not meant to see, correct? So you want to make sure you have all those turned off while you are sharing your screen. Now you have audio and screen. Now this is to share your screen and also share your voice, right? Now you also have video and screen, which will turn on your camera. So you'll be sharing your screen and you'll also be sharing your video, so everybody will be able to see you while you're sharing your screen. All right, so we have that. Then what else? So this is basically what the Video Studio feature helps us to do, right? And we can always look at the contents we uploaded. So this is the first video that we made. You can watch it, and because we turned on that option to download, we have this download button right here, and then we've made it visible to students. You can also edit the settings of this video, right? Do you want it to download? Do you want to have a transcript? Do you want to edit the video itself? It's not like you're just uploading a video and forgetting about it. You can always edit the video. You can even replace the video. Okay, I want to remove it and put a new one. You can always do that, okay? You can add a description. You can align it with goals or specific parts of the course. All right, so yes, that sums up the different features that lecturers have inside courses. Now, if you notice, this whole extensive training has been focused on just one course. Now, this is because everything here is done in one course. You can always do it in a different course, right? It doesn't have to be fixed on just one course. Okay, you can always use that and upload a different, work on a different course with it. All right, so we're just going to do a quick summary now to make sure that everybody is following us. All right, so let me take this. We've done this video already. Okay, so let's do a quick summary of all the things that we have done. And let's even say, okay, you might be wondering, how would I even delete all these things? Let's say I made a mistake in the content I uploaded. So I want to delete it. You have this button here. You can either do them one by one or do a question analysis on every individual question, or you can click on this button here and you have badge edit. This allows you to select the questions all at once, all right, or select multiple questions, and then once you're done, you have this delete item button that shows here. All right, so now let's say we're done with this. We want to see what this looks like to students. So you see, now I want us to take note of this. This one is not available to students. It's hidden from students, right? But the other 3 or 4 are actually available. So 1, 2, 3. The 4 other contents are available, but this is not available. So you're going to notice, I'm going to change this to a student preview, where you can actually preview what the whole course you have created is going to look like to your students without having to log into your student's account. All right, so that will be done from this part of the screen here. I'm going to once again zoom in so everybody can see. All right, you see it here. This button here, this is the icon. So let me go out so you can see the button properly. See, it says student preview. So once you click on this, this will create like a student's view of your account. All right, this will create a student view of your account, of everything that you have done inside it. So you can see here, this is what the course would look like for students. And I mentioned this earlier, we created 5 contents, but there are only 4 here because one of them was hidden from students. All right, one of the content was hidden from students, so there are only 4 here. So as you can see, this is what your students will see. For let's even go to the test. I know someone was worried earlier, would students be able to see the correct answers? So now this would show you if they would or not. So you see all the different parameters we set for this test, and then let's start one attempt. So you see here, we have 13 minutes to submit, but if your time runs out, you can get 7 minutes more because we set an extra time. So start timer, and the test has started. Now, if you can notice, all the parameters we set are in place. You see, we have 14 questions in this test, but we're seeing only 1 question. See those lines that we normally use to add questions, the students cannot access it because they do not have access to edit anything in the settings. Okay, now you see this is it. Where is our timer? So you see the students will not be able to do anything. The only thing they can do here is answer the question, nothing else. All right, so they cannot even see which of the answers is correct. You know, when we're creating, one of them had the correct answer tag, but they can't see which of them is correct. So let's just pick one answer. Once you pick a particular answer, the next thing is to continue. You have your save and close buttons here and submit button, but you want to make sure you finish it first. Now you see the second question has come up. They can only see the next question after solving the first one. They cannot go forward or backward, right? You see here, let's say I want to go back to page number 2 or question 2. I can't go back. There's no back button, only a continue button. All right, so I've selected another question. Let me just pick randomly so that you can see. So you see your timer is here. You have your timer here, 12 minutes remaining, right? So I've picked another question. Let's go. Another question. Let's quickly run through the test. Let's see. So this one is a fill in the blank question. So let's just type anything here. Okay. This is another what's it called? Multi-choice question. So this is to show us how effective and efficient that this system is, right? So also encourage us to actually make sure we start, training our students using it, teaching our students using it. We can, and I mentioned this yesterday, you can also use this for personal development, right? To improve your skills in your field of study. Okay, so now we've finished our test. Let's submit it and see what happens. So you have save and close and you have submit. So let's submit the test. It will still warn you. After submitting this test, you cannot edit it though. You cannot come back. Are you sure you are done? You still have 11 minutes, so don't you want to come back and edit? You say no, you're done with your test. You click Now you're going to see what is going to happen here. You see your submission was successful and then the test has ended. So you see you are even getting your grade immediately because I set it to automatic grading, right? So it's going to show me all the correct answers after all grades are posted. Okay, I changed the parameters for those correct answers, so I cannot see. But this is also to tell you that a student would not know which answer is correct until when they are done with the tests. They cannot see which answer is correct, only the lecturer can, right? When they are done with the test. So you see, I actually just guessed my way through this test, was able to score 3. So please, people should clap for me. I was able to score 3 out of 14, even though I don't know what test I was doing, right? But this is this is exactly what it looks like, right? This is what we're talking about. See, no, there are no jokes, no loopholes for students to bypass. You have to learn properly, and then you take your test. So now let's say I want to try it again. I have start attempt, which would allow me to take the test again. It would reshuffle the questions and it will also reshuffle the answers to make sure I do not have an easy way around. Now, this is also good that I turned off those correct answers because now, even if I want to take a second attempt, I cannot see which answer is correct to know which one I need to do to pass, right? So I'll have to take it again, find my way through the test again, and see if I'll be able to get the correct answers, right? So now once you're done with the student preview, this is for the test, right? You can also preview the other things. You can preview the AI persona that we created, right? So you see you're getting 21 points if you score properly on this. You can start your chat with the persona. You see here, you click on start chat and you and the AI will start talking. There's a timer which is 30 minutes. The AI will send its first message, you respond, and every response you're giving here will be judged by your lecturer, or which is you. Any response your students is giving will be judged by you, the lecturer, later on. All right. So once this is done, you submit and you have all of that. Okay, so these are all the different features that you can play around with as a lecturer in the course. And once you're done with the student preview, you can exit it. Once you make sure that, okay, everything here, you can see it, your students can see it. Nobody will come and tell you tomorrow that, sir, I cannot see the test you gave us, I can't see the document. You're sure that you can see it, you're sure that the document is available. Then you can now exit the student preview. You can decide to save it or you discard it, and then it will bring you back to setting up your course, right? So now I mentioned doing a batch delete. So let's say we want to delete everything that we have done here today. This is everything we've uploaded here today. So once you delete it, you can also edit the visibility, changing all of them to hidden from students at the same time, right? So all of them are now hidden from students. And then you can also just delete all of them at once. Okay? You can delete all of them all at once. So as you can see, there's only one content again, which is the content that we met here that was posted by this lecturer, Mr. Ibrahim Aliyu. Okay, so yes, everyone, this is what the timer is at the right top of the tests. So this is what course content upload looks like. So let's even try adding an image here. You know, I talked about adding an image before. Let's add an image in this place. Let's add from on Splash. So we're looking for digital electronics, right? Digital electronics. So you can see like we can put this image here. Okay, so you see, you select the view of the image you want, and then yeah. So I mentioned this earlier. You see, it's only picking a very short part of it. So you have to make sure that the image you're selecting is a very wide image because it's not going to show the whole image. It's just going to pick this section like this, and then we save it. Okay, so now let's save that. You notice that this image here will change. So you see here, this is wonderful. You see how beautiful this looks. So you have a course title, Introduction to Digital Electronics, and you now have this wonderful image that is explaining the digital electronics to you. Okay, so we're just going to do a quick rundown of everything that has been covered so far, right? You can start dropping your questions. So we can end the training by, let's say, 1:46. So please start dropping your questions in the comments, and you can start filling the attendance form. Make sure you fill the attendance form. Make sure you fill the feedback form. I would like to know if this training was impactful. If you guys would like to see me again, if you don't want to see me again, you want somebody else, I'll carry my load and go. So just let me know in the feedback. Thank you very much. So from yesterday, we had some parts to cover, right? We had the profile. This is for your profile. We have the institution page where every information posted out generally for your whole institution would appear. We have the activity page where announcement and course activities would appear. So you see the course we just worked on. It's looking beautifully here. You can see it. And any other, so you see all the different things we did today. They're all showing up. We added some new materials, new documents, new tests. Everything is showing in the activity stream. You have courses, which is basically where you're going to see like an overview of the courses that you have enrolled into. And you have the course catalog where you would also be able to enroll into new courses. All right. And then, yeah, we have organizations. So if any organization has been created for you by your ICT department, you'll be able to enroll it into it in this organization catalog. And then if you have enrolled into any organization, you would see it here. You have the calendar, which shows you a calendar view of all your courses and all your activities, lectures, assessments, deadlines. Now we have messages. Messages basically shows you the messages that has been sent in the individual courses that you are taking, right? And you can also send your own messages. You have grades, which is basically a big report card or report book for those here, for all your students. You can see how they are performing in those courses, and this will also show you the grades that you have as a lecturer. Okay, then you have tools. I mentioned this earlier, that tools is for the enterprise applications that your institution has set up for your school, right? Those are admin kind of functions, right? So these are all the different features that we have in Blackboard that lecturers can directly benefit from. And we would love to hear from you guys. We would love your impact in future trainings. We love your impact in future, let's say, setups. How we want to be able to help you to train your students better, and we want to be able to help you to, understand how to make the whole education system better. So thank you, everyone. Thank you once again. My name is Christopher Ebose from Pole Global Marketing, and it was nice having you all here today. Thank you so much for making our time to be here, and see you in the next one when we are ready for you guys again.
Give a voice note feedback instead of a written comment. Let your voice keep resonating with your students. Give a voice note feedback instead of a written comment. Let your voice keep resonating with your students. Give a voice note feedback instead of a written comment. Let your voice keep resonating with your students. Give a voice note feedback instead of a written comment. Let your voice keep resonating with your students. Give a voice note feedback instead of a written comment. Let your voice keep resonating with your students. Give a voice note feedback instead of a written comment. Let your voice keep resonating with your students. Give a voice note feedback instead of a written comment. Let your voice keep resonating with your students. Give a voice note feedback instead of a written comment. Let your voice keep resonating with your students.